All right, and we live, we talk weeklies after the talk on WPPMLP Philadelphia 106.5 FM. We talk weeklies after the talk with your boy Charles Gregory and the beautiful.
Classy Lady Sparkle.
Oh, somebody got their horn on. Somebody got the TV. They're watching it live. That's cool. And so, it's a little delay when someone is watching, and so that's fine. So, super excited about today's show. We have a jam-packed show. One thing specifically is we have an election coming up, and we generally do these special election shows to amplify some of the people who's running. We actually had both candidates who are running for DA, a Mr. or Judge or Honorable. He said whichever one, it doesn't matter. But Pat Dugan, we had him on, in addition to DA, the current DA, Larry Krasner, both dynamic people, both had some great points in what was, I guess, the best way to run Philadelphia as it relates to justice, how to run and be fair, which I thought was pretty interesting. Ironically, they share a lot of the same qualities that I have seen. So it's going to be a very tough election. DA Larry Krasner has been dug in for a while, and the people definitely, well, some people like him. We have a lot of people who are very critical of DA Larry Krasner also, but we'll see, right? We'll see. Both have experience, but we'll see. We'll see. Election is what, 3 days, right? It'll end. So if you haven't voted yet, you'll be able to do so. But we have someone with whom I have a tremendous amount of respect for that is on today, to whom we are interviewing, that can give you a little bit more information, more than I can. So without further ado, Classy Lady, who do we have today?
Today we have Khalif Chestnut. He is the Chief Deputy City Commissioner of Philadelphia, and he leads efforts to expand voter access, strengthen civic engagement, and ensure that every Philadelphian has a voice in the democratic process. Y'all already know what to do. Let's give a warm We Talk Weekly welcome to Khalif Chestnut.
Hey, I don't have my
deputy.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. How are you, my friend? How are you?
Good. Long day.
Yeah, fantastic. So, I mean, you heard a little bit of what we were discussing earlier in terms of voting, and it's going to be a very dynamic, I want to say, campaign for everyone right now, especially as it relates to the judges. I always say that, there's too much emphasis. I won't say too much, but there's a lot of emphasis and amplification when it comes to the presidential election, right? But when it comes to the judges, people tend to just, I don't know, say, oh, well, right. But they're the most important people, in my opinion. So let's start there. Like, what does it look like on your end, and how busy are you, and all of that good old stuff?
Yes. We're very busy right now, as you know, gearing up for the election on Tuesday, November 4th. Polls open at 7 a.m. They close at 8 p.m. If you're in line by 7:59, you're right on time. You can still vote. If you don't know where your polling location is, you can visit vote.phila.gov to find that polling location. And like you said, we have a full ballot this election. Your city controller, your DA, your judges, and we also have the retention judges.
Fantastic. So real quick, when someone says, for those who don't know, who may be watching this, what does the city controller do?
City controller is the watchdog. She watches all the money. Well, currently she watches all the money.
Yeah. And so the judges, why do you think, because we talk very civic. So I'll start with this. When I mention civic engagement to you, or civics, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Well, the first thing, it would be like the presidential race. Yeah. Everybody thinks about that. But like you said, judges are very important because they have the power to take your life away, sentence you to whoever knows how long, your family members. It's a very important that we come out and show out and vote for the judges that we believe in.
Absolutely. Now, as everyone knows, some people don't want to go to the polls because of the lines or elderly. Are people still able to go ahead and mail in their ballots now, or is it too late because now we're right around the corner?
It is too late to mail your ballot. If you are one of those people like myself who like to vote from home and vote by mail, We are telling you right now to return to one of our Eagles Green drop boxes. We located them all around the city. They're in every neighborhood. You can find them at vote.phila.gov. Click our Dropbox location, but it is too late to mail it back in as we do not accept postmarks.
Oh, wow.
Mhm. Awesome. Now, as Charles said, that we do the civic engagement. We have a lot of the mayoral candidates that came on, a lot of with the DAs. Tell us about how important it is for people who think they can't vote, such as people who were incarcerated, served time. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So one of the things that we do in Chairman Sabeer's office, who I work for, I'm the chief deputy in his office. We have our "You Are Not Forgotten" initiative, and that is reminding incarcerated and individuals who came home that they still have the right to vote. So if you are a pretrial detainee confined in an institution awaiting trial for a felony or misdemeanor, you can still vote. If you were convicted of a misdemeanor, you can still vote. If you got released or will get released by the next election, you can vote. If you're on probation or house arrest, you can still vote.
Mm-hmm. Now, there has been challenges before in terms of polling locations that you need, or the misconception, should I say, that you need an ID to vote. How true is that? And if, say, for example, Ms. Johnson come down and forget her wallet at home and don't have her ID, could she still vote?
So you only need your ID if it is your first time voting at that polling location.
Got you. Now, if someone has challenges in getting out, do y'all have any resources or things that can help them get out, like for our older citizens? How does that work?
Yes, there are plenty of nonpartisan groups that have rides to the polls. So there's Souls to the Polls. I know I can give that information to you. I don't have it right now, but they are giving out rides to the polls for everybody.
Fantastic.
Now, okay. And now we talk weekly. We're non-biased. We want to encourage all to vote. We know, Chief Deputy, that you are with the Democratic side, but can you tell us about just how important it is? Democrat.
I'm not partisan.
Oh, awesome.
Anything. You come out and vote for who you want to vote for. I don't lean one side. I cannot tell you who to vote for.
Awesome. And that's what we want to hear. So can you tell everyone how important it is that when you come out and vote, regardless of what the party, looking at the independence of what the candidates are running and how they're looking to help the community and serve people's families better? Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so I say it like this every time. If you don't come out and vote for what you believe in, somebody's going to come out and vote for what they believe in, and you might not like the result of that. Simple as that. Come out, exercise your right that we know many people would sacrifice for. So I'm just telling everybody to come out and exercise their right to vote for what they believe in.
Mm-hmm. If someone goes to a polling place and feel that they are being bullied, or they feel nervous because they're feeling that people are pushing them a certain way, what can they do to make sure that they feel safe in certain polling places?
Yes. They can call 411 for the hotline to report that. There's also the district attorney office. They are supporting us on those initiatives. So if anything like that, you can call the hotline number. I don't have that number with me right now, but you can find it. It'll be out there on election day everywhere, posted up.
Mm-hmm. Lauren, did you have anything? Yeah. You're on mute.
Yeah, I did have a question. When it comes to, because traditionally we see a lot of low voter turnout. Are there some different things that you guys are doing to encourage people to come out to vote?
Well, generally, when it's a local election, the turnout is lower. But we are, like I said, in our office, we have several initiatives. We have our Platinum Voter Initiative that we introduced in the city council last year, where we partner with Councilwoman Nina Ahmad, and we give all the nursing homes in the district, we give them all voter registration apps. We go out there, do their mail-in ballots for them and collect them. We have our Philly Rises initiative, where we go into the schools and talk to the students. And we also have our You Are Not Forgotten initiative that I just spoke about.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're out talking to people, like what are some of their concerns that they're saying when it comes to voting? Are they expressing any concerns with any when it comes to voting?
A lot of people, unfortunately, they're just uneducated on a topic. And that's why we do our Philly Rises initiative, because I always say we are creatures of habit. So we have to make voting a good habit. And that's what we do. We get out here to these schools. I personally think in schools, they should be voting in grade school on who's the line leader, the hall monitor, middle school and high school should be voting on their electives, who's the president of the school, secretary, and you create that habit. So by the time they become 18, they're automatically, oh, I did this all my life. This ain't nothing new. I'm just going to go vote today on election day.
Right. And I think the issue, as you mentioned, that it has to start when it comes from, when it comes to them growing up from kindergarten to all the way to 8th grade to even as a rising senior. And that's a lot of that, they took civics out of school. So they're not even learning the basics of government.
Yes.
A lot of them are confused. A lot of them are like uninformed. And then there's so much, misinformation out here in the social arena, social media arena, that can kind of like dilute the real information that's out there. So that, also kind of, I guess, adds to the confusion for them.
Yeah. Have you, Chief Deputy, have your office done anything differently this election to garner more people to come out to vote? What were some of the new ideals that came up within your office to try to get more people out for this particular election? Because as you stated, this election is usually the lowest in turnout. Have you guys done anything?
We're just been out there on the streets, knocking on doors. We've been out there at every sub stop, just encouraging people to come out and vote, spreading the word.
Fantastic. Is there anything that we did not get the opportunity to ask you in terms of questions that you feel that you want the community to know? Because what we'll do is actually chop this up and put your interview out so we can market and promote to try to get people out to vote to amplify your message. But is there anything that you would like any of our viewers in Philadelphia to know based on your office or some of the things that you guys are doing?
Yes. Let me just go over the ballot one more time. So there's the city controller on the ballot, the district attorney, you have the court of common pleas, the municipal courts, and there's retention judges on it. Now, retention is a simple yes or no question on whether that judge should remain on the bench or not. So you vote yes if you think they should stay, and you vote no if you think they should go.
Now, I know that you're nonpartisan, but can you potentially say what are the ramifications of retaining judges versus not retaining them? Can you talk a little to that and being as unbiased as possible?
Yes. So right now in Pennsylvania, the judges that are up for retention are all Democrats. So if 2 or more of them lose their retention, the powers would change for the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania.
So when we talk about, ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about how dynamic this particular election is, when we talk about retention of judges, we all know how important judges can be if you even know what's going on right now in in the nation, right? And so being able to have judges that's going to be in support of the people, regardless what side they're on, that's potentially who you want on your side. And so I would say continue to do your research, look at the judges that are out there, dig in a little bit more. We'll definitely have this out there for you to kind of see and do your due diligence. But for those judges, Chief Deputy, can you say who are the judges that are being or on the ballot to be retained? Can you at least say that?
The names of them?
Yes.
So there's Kevin Doherty, there's Christine Donahue, David Welch, I believe. Those are the 3 Democrats who are up for the Supreme Court.
Fantastic. Now, if it's someone who would want to get in contact with you, reach out to you, to your office, how could they do so?
You can always call our office at 215-686-3462. That's 215-686-3462. Or visit our website at vote.phila.gov.
One more thing before I let you go, because I love the idea of having the young people in school voting for, voting to be part of the student union or whatever. I thought that was an amazing idea. If it was a young person who would be watching this show and they're coming to you and saying, why should I vote? What would you say to that young person?
It's simple. I would say because you matter. Your parents matter. Your neighbors matter. Your community as a whole matters. And voting is one of the few things you can do that can change the lives of everybody around you.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Chief Deputy Khalif Chestnut, I want to thank you for your time. I know you guys are busy during this time, but with the commissioner and everyone in your office, they're friends to the show. So whenever you guys feel like you want to come back and give a message, we have the door open for you, because I think some of the things that you guys are doing for the community are just great. You're doing some amazing work, and I want you to continue to do the hard work and reaching out to the people that you guys have been doing. So thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Chief Deputy Khalif Chestnut, he had the opportunity to come on the show and talk to us about the importance, the importance of just going out there and vote is very important. And their office is doing some amazing work. And they actually took the time out of their busy schedule to actually jump on to We Talk Weekly to talk a little bit about some of the work that they're doing and just kind of, nudge you a little bit to say, hey, this is a very important election. And I am very hard on, I want to say the people who are, in charge of said campaigns, who are campaigning, who don't do enough work to amplify those that's outside of the presidential election, right? When I used to hear during elections that this is the most important election that you would ever hear, that would drive me crazy.
Yeah, and
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say this one probably is one of the most important elections. So y'all need to get out there. Go ahead, Lauren.
Yeah, no, I was going to say you do get tired of the same rhetoric, but that's true. It's like they're all kind of important, because when you miss one, you start seeing different legislation that's created that, like, if you had voted or exercise your right, maybe your vote could have made change. But people, they just don't think like that. Everybody assumes like if you educate yourself about how government works and what your vote actually does, you'll see how it does count. Now there's other things that are set in place that tamper with voting. Won't go into that because those are things that people will do. Yeah. But that does affect how votes are I guess factored in, how they're counted. And that would make somebody feel like my vote doesn't count when you have like voter suppression and you have gerrymandering and you have the redistricting and you have all that stuff. Like that does make, when you factor in all that stuff, that will make somebody feel like my vote doesn't matter. But if they knew the nuances and the intricacies that goes into actually that stuff that people are doing that suppresses the vote, they would know why. Technically, even though it's not my vote doesn't matter or my vote doesn't count, but they would know why something is making their vote not count. Not necessarily the act of exercising your right to vote is not what, that part is not what's ineffective. You know what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely. And also those mothers who, and it's two sides to the victim and to the assailant, but the let's just say the mothers of the ones that feel like they're the victim, like, oh no, they railroad my child and all of this stuff. Did you vote? Did you know that was going to be the judge that's sitting up there that's making those decisions for your said child? You know what I'm saying? Like, everyone always wants to complain about the justice system or the judicial system, but are you voting? And I'm talking on the state and local level. That matters.
Yes. Yes.
Just real quick, because I want to bring our next guest on, Dr. Shumana. She's here. But real quick, Lauren, you might have to take over controls. My mouse froze, so I can't even click around anymore. Can you take control over? Do you have control over that?
Let me see.
Um,
I think so. So, okay. Do we want to? Are you ready to?
yeah. So why don't we just go? So this is We Talk Weeklies After the Talk on WPPMLP Philadelphia 106.5 FM. We Talk Weeklies After the Talk with your boy Charles Gregory and the beautiful
Classy Lady Sparkle.
Lauren Sizzle.
And I'm throwing it in Lauren Sizzle hand. And our next guest for today is, why don't you let us know who do we have today? Who do we have today? Spark, you want to jump in?
Oh, who's coming? I don't know.
Dr. Shawana, yeah, she's in the building.
Oh, okay. We have the beautiful Shawana coming on, and let's give a warm We Talk Weekly welcome
to Dr. Shawana. How are you? How are you?
Shawana.
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you for. I seen you in the back room, so thank you for being patient with us and listening to us jab and talk a little bit about, especially some of the things that's coming up in our nation today.
It's very important.
Absolutely, and
yeah.
So
this isn't. We're kind of. We wanted to just kind of highlight, just putting out that voting information. Just as we jumped into our show, so we apologize for that little part.
No worries.
But we wanted to make sure we got that information out there, since we're right on the heels of Election Day.
Right.
So how are you? Most importantly, how are you feeling today?
I'm wonderful, and I'm so happy to be here with you guys this evening.
Oh, awesome.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
And Dr. Shawana, can you just tell all of our viewers who you are and the importance that you've given to our community?
Absolutely. So my name is Dr. Shawana Vaughn. I run a national nonprofit called Silent Cry Inc. And I think my biggest contribution right now to humanity would be my legislation called post-traumatic prison disorder. I have the only mass incarceration mental health bill in the country. And Ayanna Pressley is my federal sponsor. And New York has it, and Michigan has it. And I just believe that in this pivotal moment, I just heard you guys talk about victims and incarceration. And I think that we are not a proactive society in anything. We're reactive of everything. And prison doesn't make people safe. I think if we dealt with social service in empathy on the front end, we would have less people in prison on the back end. Mm-hmm. But because we live in capitalism, we like slaves. And the only way to get new slaves is prison.
Wow. Yeah.
Absolutely. And since you mentioned that I have almost coming up on 9 years background in law enforcement, and I think I see a lot of the traumas that happens when it comes to just the punitive side of incarceration. And I was having this conversation with a colleague of mine, and I was just talking about how one of my clients, he was just saying how happy he was to be getting back to a normal life, because he had spent so much time in and out of the justice system, and he had finally gotten clean. And he had this old case, that was probably from 1995. But since he had struggled with drug addiction for so long, here it is in 2024, I believe, that he was finally getting past this old case, and he had been in and out of jail. He was on probation for so long, almost I think it was 15 years or something like that. But that's because every time he went in, he wasn't being rehabilitated.
No.
It's, incarceration just served a punitive purpose. And
Well, that's all it does.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
it. Like,
right. And it's not like, you cannot, you can't get substances inside the prison because you can. You can get,
the biggest drug dealer is Pfizer and Merrick, and the biggest pusher is the Department of Corrections all over the United States.
Wow.
Because when I got to prison at 17, they said, here's a bedroll and go to the medication line. They told me, here's Eleville to go to bed and Ritalin to wake up. I said, for who? With what diagnosis? I came in here because I robbed something. I did not come in here because I could not go to bed and I could not wake up. And I watched people take this medication and they did not know their names. I watched people take this medication and they became addicts. I watched these people take these medications and people got health conditions that they did not have because you're trying Viagra out on people that don't have heart problems.
gosh.
It's a mess.
So,
And
Dr.
it's-
Shawana, sorry to interject, but just when you just mentioned your story, you were 17. Tell us about how you got to where you are. What made that journey the reason that you're so involved in giving your life to advocate for this cause?
I was born in prison. My mother had me April 15th, 1978 in Corona State Prison for Women. And by 17, I had my own prison number, W76337, vended by the state of California. And when I tell you that the system does what it is designed, it is not broken. It is doing a great job, right? Because if you can predict a prison for me by the 3rd grade, it is doing well. It is not predicting prison for white American children by the 3rd grade. It is looking for Title I schools. It is looking for Black community. And it is a well-oiled machine and it's doing just fine. And I am clear that they did not care if I was educated in prison. They didn't even ask me if I had a high school diploma in the intake because it didn't matter. Are you strong enough to go to work? Are you mentally competent enough to go to work? That was the only thing they wanted to know.
And Doctor, I'm sorry to cut you off. I just wanted to say I'm kind of holding back a lot of because I'm getting angry because I want to interject with the stuff that you're saying is just so real. That school to prison pipeline but go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm gonna let you finish.
No, you're saying a real thing, right?
It's
the school to prison pipeline. It's the foster care to prison pipeline. It's the foster care workers that never showed up at my house to figure out what was going on in my life, right? Like nobody cared. Everybody dropped the ball. And then when the foster care worker has to come release me, I'm incarcerated. And she said, we lost you. Where? Where did you lose me? Because this sounds not real. And it's just broken all the way around. I said, ma'am, they had to do an interstate compact transfer to put a minor in prison. Where did you lose me? And it's just unconscionable that a state agency can say we lost you and we had to come to prison to find you.
Wait. Hold up. So they had to do an interstate compact
transfer of property.
Transfer for you?
I was property of the state, transferred to property of the state.
Wow.
So they did an ICOTS for you.
And then they said they lost me.
How? When you did the paperwork and the transfer.
Are you, from a legal perspective, able to sue, or is there anything you could do as far as
no? Because guess what? If you imagine never being a human. So if you're property of the state, which foster children are property of the state, and you transferred property to new ownership, where was I ever a human?
Mm.
Nobody ever thinks about the foster care system, which is the worst system, which has not been overhauled in this country for 40 years. And everybody talks about release the files for Epstein, release the files for P. Diddy. I want the state to release the foster care files. What are we talking about? Because the whole government is child trafficking.
Mm.
Ah,
The government is child trafficking. AmeriCorps is child trafficking.
Mm.
You get these people's children and you send them to AmeriCorps in other states that they're not from. And now that they've been defunded, these children are homeless in the street. I am currently in Detroit, Michigan, and these children from AmeriCorps are homeless. But because they are not from this state is not liable. So now, no parole officer, no probation, no court is looking for these children now that 47 has defunded AmeriCorps. Nobody's looking for these children. Now they're homeless in states that they did not come from.
Mm.
And if they were animals, the Humane Society would have already been up in arms.
Crazy.
Unfortunately, we're going to call a thing a thing. If they were Caucasian children, we would have stopped the world. They would have all been found with care. But because we send minority children to another white capitalist prison called AmeriCorps, nobody cares. It made the news cycle and then they forgot. But the children are still out here running around hungry and homeless. And they can't get home because they are children.
Horrible. It is horrible.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It breaks my heart that more isn't done for foster care children that age out of foster care.
Well, I have a bill, and I'm hoping to get a
Yes,
legislator to pick it up because I'm asking that there be 5% of that check to go in trust for these young people who age out with nothing. Because the person who's watching them is getting a check. They're getting nothing. They're not even getting life skills.
Mm.
Nobody goes back to monitor what is happening. And I'm like, why would you take children out of their homes and not give the parents the services to keep the children in the home? We are
So
a child trafficking society.
Tell us more about the bill, Dr. Shawana.
So my foster care bill would entrust that you put 5% of the check in trust, that you would give children therapy from the moment they are taken from their home, and that the reunification plan be no longer than 12 months. Because these judges and these people know if you want to give these people back their children or not. Stop making them run through hurdles. Give them social services so they are stable enough to take their children back, because you're not putting in better homes. You're going to pay other people to watch their kids, but you won't pay for the service for them to retain their own children. We live in a country that doesn't make sense. And so I'm asking that every child be sent home within 12 months, or that they keep their family bonds. They know who their siblings are their entire lives, because I met my family by accident. Every last one of them. In the streets, at school, at church. It's not good.
Wow.
You need to know where you come from. You need to know what your medical history is. These are just things you need to know. And I don't think taking children out of their homes with no identity to where they came from, that's not even humane.
That's right.
And yes, my mother was an addict. But guess what? They didn't give Black women in the 70s Betty Ford. They gave them prison. And she had a health crisis. She didn't need prison. She needed rehab. If somebody would have gave her rehab, maybe she could have raised us. But they didn't. And so, go ahead.
Is your mother still with us?
Absolutely not. My mother died in 1992 when I was the summer of me going to high school. And a lot of this work I do to repair a broken relationship, because I said nobody ever talks about mama trauma. I'm a
Mhm.
walking mama trauma grown person.
Mhm.
And I go to therapy to heal because nobody ever talks about mama trauma. We always talk about fathers. And I'm like, if an absent father is absent, he did not give you trauma. It was your broken mama talking about your daddy, and she better just remember the days that was good and shut her mouth. And that's just reality, because we create harm in children. I
Mm.
said, no, like I got mama trauma in real life. Like I got abandonment issues,
Mm.
and it all stems from when you're in foster homes and everybody thinks they're good because, you know, the people go to church, they clap on cue. It all looks amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's not how it's actually run.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there's no checks and balances.
Mm.
Now, my next comment, Dr. Shawana, is not on monetary. It's just because how I could feel your energy and how your story is. Have you ever thought about writing a book?
You know what? I'm currently revising my book and about to relaunch it for Christmas. It's called Cries for Change. But it did not satisfy my spirit. And so I had to rewrite. But I am gonna release it in December on Amazon because I think I left out like a lot of parts that I needed to include, which was mama trauma, which is family division. Nobody even talks about like parole and probation, right? And I had a parole officer that, you know, they told me, hey, be careful. I just laughed. And then I met him and I said, oh, absolutely right. Be careful. Right. And they would tell me, you know, getting off parole is hard. I said, okay, got it. And unfortunately, even in my book, because people don't like to tell the truth, right? I was like, well, how do I get off parole? What does this look like? When you can date the parole officer to get off parole, y'all know that's
Wow.
crazy, right? That's
Oh.
crazy work. I was like, oh, this is how this
Yes.
works. Oh, got it. No worries. We're gonna do this. I was like, I can do this. I can do this. I can absolutely do this to get off parole. And it's unfortunate that now the parole officer is in a pulpit. I said, this is hypocrisy.
Oh, my stars.
Oh.
This is hypocrisy. That the parole officer who sleeps with the parolees is now in a pulpit. I said, this just is wild. And I'm clear that people let them retire with their pensions because people who are formerly incarcerated really in this country are never free. And I don't think we matter. But we matter to each other. And it's 70 million. And I believe that 70 million people who matter to each other can flip this whole country if we become one unit. You talked about voting. I'm a 3-striker. In California, rape, robbery, and murder is a A1 felony. It's a violent crime offense. That's crazy. And we are watching a lawless government right now in real life, in real time. They're just doing whatever they want.
Yeah.
And I'm from California, and I'm like, if we are watching people exercise these pens as we are daily, why aren't these governors exercising theirs? I'm tired of Republicans and Democrats in
Yes.
totality. I'm tired of all of them
Mm-hmm.
because democracy is going to have to come from the people. We are going to have to say enough is enough.
Yeah.
Everybody is saying vote like our lives depend on it. And we are voting. But we clearly heard Elon Musk said he rigged the vote. We heard him. He said it out loud.
Yeah, and I think now
America heard him.
I think now more people are, you know, kind of agreeing with your sentiments. I think people are feeling that it's going to take more than just simply voting. Like a lot of people are taking to the streets. A lot of people are like fighting for their own democracy.
Guess what? Black America needs to stop spending money. Cancel Thanksgiving and cancel Christmas. Cancel New Year's. Cancel it all. If you don't own a wig, don't go buy a new one. If you don't, we need to go back natural. Let it go. Let it go. Because the only way you can stop racism is to stop capitalism.
That's right.
We are the biggest spenders in this country. We don't need a turkey for Thanksgiving. Everybody is talking about SNAP and this and that. And I'm like, well, you know what? That's not our problem. I don't even know why they're using us as the face. 46% of America who is on food stamps do not look like us. They are Caucasian and they are
Yeah.
Jewish. And we are going to stop being the face of everything that is dismal. We don't care about food stamps. That's not even our problem.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We can go eat bread and mayonnaise for Thanksgiving. We are clear. We are survivors. I can't take it anymore. We got to buckle down and we got to get this back together. We
So
can
what
only get freedom through finances.
Yes. So what do you feel is like the main support that your bill needs to kind of, get past or get over that, I guess get over the hurdle or
I
what?
think it needs national education. I think like trying to create a national toolkit is very expensive. It's very time consuming. And I need people. Like you need people. And I'm not famous. I am a grassroots organizer. I run a national org that is literally grassroots. And so it takes philanthropy. It takes dollars, unfortunately. And I think we just give dollars to the wrong entities.
Yeah.
And so it takes volunteers. It takes people to send letters. It takes all the things, right? It takes coalition building. And so one of the reasons I'm happy to be here today is because Philadelphia is one of the most progressive when it comes to grassroots building in the country. And I would love to collaborate with people in Philadelphia. I would love to partner with grassroots orgs there. One reason I'm happy to be on this show today is that I'm hoping that people will see this and reach out and that I can collaborate with people on the ground in the state of Philadelphia.
Well, while you're here, and since you said that, why don't you put out that that call, that ask to those that may be watching, those organizations, those grassroots organizations that could be interested in helping you.
Well, if you are in Pennsylvania and you are doing grassroots work or you believe in advocacy, please reach out to me at silentcryinc@gmail.com. We would love your assistance, and it is needed because 70 million people plus their families are impacted by post-traumatic prison disorder. We are clear that prison does not help. And how do you want your neighbors to come home? How do you want the person that shops in your grocery store, that goes to the PTA meeting with your children, how do you want them to show up? Because the cost of mental health and the collateral damage it causes, we could save money if we believed that post-traumatic prison disorder should be a law, because I'm asking for trauma-informed therapists 14 days upon incarceration. I'm asking that guards be mandated to therapy because they create harm. Police and correctional officers have the highest suicide rate and the highest domestic violence because they don't have an outlet. This bill is not just for the incarcerated. It's for guards too, because they go to work every day. They're in prison too. And so is their mental health. And the families of incarcerated people, we're not coming home the same way. I tell people the person you met, they died when they went in. The person who comes out, we got to relearn them and you got to relearn them too. And so we could be holistic in doing this, Because post-traumatic prison disorder is a real thing. And it's
Yeah.
not post-traumatic stress disorder. That is a military diagnosis. They've thrown us all in that gumbo, but we don't get military benefits, and there's no VA hospital for formerly incarcerated people. So we don't have post-traumatic stress syndrome. Absolutely, we do not.
Mm.
Hmm.
So I'm just curious, like, what are your thoughts on, and I know this isn't, technically the prisons, but what are your thoughts on the ICE detention centers? And
I think that it is prison. It's
yeah,
horrible.
it is prison.
It is. It's horrible. Um, I'm so sad about Alcatraz Island. That breaks my heart because you're rounding up people that fuel this country because you hate the color of people's skin. But you exploit them in your hotels. You exploit them in the fields. But now you want them out. Well, guess what? Black people ain't going back to watermelon fields. We're not going back.
Mhm.
And so I think that this is catastrophic, that those people are probably being abused more than people in state prisons because nobody is watching an island in the middle of the Everglades.
Mm.
And my heart is hurting because this is not, America is stolen land. There is nobody that is an immigrant on some stolen land that does not belong to you. And
Right.
this is catastrophic. This is a disaster. And I'm really hoping that November the 3rd or wherever these elections are for everybody in this country, that you vote right. And I'm not saying vote Democrat. I'm saying vote Democrat. I don't care what you're talking about. Because if they get any more seats, if they get any more power, we can roll the credits and call this the Handmaid's Tale. And this is real life. You might not like the Democrat that's running, but guess what? We're headed into dictatorship. We're headed into fascism. We're already here. I hope everybody saw yesterday in New York City and in Washington, D.C., a kid got ran over yesterday trick-or-treating by the police in New York City. And the guns went off. And it looked like we were in Yemen.
Mm.
Gosh.
In Washington yesterday, the National Guard and the troops, it was pure mayhem.
Mm.
I don't know
Oh my gosh.
why everybody has not seen these viral videos.
Mm.
But we're living in chaos, and I'm currently in Detroit, and we got a president that calls it a trash can, and I'm worried. I'm worried for food. I'm worried for kids. I'm worried for humanity. I'm worried as I run a nonprofit and I've lost hundreds of thousands of dollars because philanthropy is shifting and this work still costs money. And I'm really scared at where we're going in the coming year if these elections don't go right.
Mhm.
I'm scared for the 30 years that it'll take to reverse all of this damage, or if it can be reversed.
Yeah. My last question, doctor, and you made some valuable points. Going back to like the foster care for children, do you think that foster care parents or that whole system as far as where the child goes, do you think that needs to be regulated in a different way on who they
Absolutely.
choose? I want to know what your thoughts are on that.
First of all, I think the first option should be that children go to their family members. Like first. Like everybody got a decent family member. I don't care what anybody says.
Mhm.
I think that children should ultimately just be with their families. I really have a problem with unfortunately every Caucasian wanting to have a black child like they have a dog or a cat in a purse. It's crazy. you're not even ethnically inclined to have Black children. And I think that if you can't comb their hair and you don't know anything, they're suffering. And it's not right, because we can't go get white children as they gobble up our children. I think that there has to be resources for families who take these children. I think that there has to be, like I said, life skills being taught. There has to be social emotional support. I think every child in foster care should have a therapist, because there is damage when you take a child out of their habitat. No matter what that habitat is, they can navigate that habitat. Please believe me. But when you
Right.
take them into an unknown, even if you, and who is a court and a government to decide what's the better, right?
Mhm.
Now I'm clear that there are some homes that children should not be in. We are all clear. But even in those instances, I don't think you should send these children to different homes, because they're all they have. And so there has to be some family, there has to be some plan in place that keeps these children together. I
Right.
should not have had to meet my siblings in church or on the streets. That
Yeah. And
that's traumatizing.
I know a few people who have over the years have just done it because, oh, they're going to get a check. Oh, they'll give me a certain amount of money every month. And then, I don't have to be bothered. The kid going to school to this and that. So a lot of times those families, if it look good on paper, that's and it's not adoption, it's just foster care. So they don't even feel like they have the obligation to this child. They feel like, oh, okay, I put a roof over their head and then send them on their way.
It's the
And
check.
that's the check.
It's the
That's the
check.
check.
And
Yeah.
this is why there has to be a deterrent from this check, right? There needs to be checks and balances. And so I'm asking that Department of Human Services creates consortiums for foster care in every state, in the cities where there's formal foster kids on these boards. There's churches, there's regular people who just care, right?
Right. I
Because
do have to say, for the record, just for the people that I do know that's watching this, I do know people who love their foster kids too, who do an amazing job. And then the children grew up to say, hey, this person loved me, cared on me, and I wouldn't have made it through this jungle, in the event that this person didn't show me the love that they have. So for those who aren't doing right,
in all of them.
Absolutely.
And shout out to the good foster parents. Shout out to the good foster home, right?
Mm-hmm.
But oh, for the ones that are not so great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's catastrophic. And foster care is a pipeline to prison.
Yeah.
Foster care is a pipeline to homelessness.
To drugs
and mental illness.
Yeah.
And so the data shows that foster care in totality is horrible. And the homes that are good are less than the homes that are bad. And it has to be cleaned up. Like, how do we not overhaul something for 40 years? Democrats and Republicans, 40 years. Come on now. We got to do better. We got to do better. I would encourage people in this season, because the climate is what we don't like, what we see, that we be the change that we're asking for in our own communities. I like the gentleman that was just on that talked about educating the kids in the schools and having them run for offices. I'm urging everybody to go get a lobby license before we're grandfathered out of them, before we can't get them. If we get them now, we're grandfathered in. If we don't get them, they're going to make it so that we don't get them. And I really believe, like, who we pick has effects on foster care, prison, philanthropy. It all makes a difference in how we vote. So I need everybody to vote in these midterms and these primaries. These elections are crucial. Like, I vote from New York. Our mayor race is do or die right now. And we cannot go back to business as usual. Nobody should just continue the status quo. And I think like we've got to tell our community to run for office. We have to. We have to educate our community on civic engagements, and we've got to get these young people acclimated to run. Or what was civil rights for? Like, I know what I owe my ancestors, but do these young people know that there's rent to pay on earth? Do they know what we owe our ancestors? Like, we talk about Black Wall Street, we talk about reparations, we talk about a lot of things, and we are making less progress with more technology, with more money than ever. The 40s, 50s, and 60s had no money, no technology, and they got more done because they had more tenacity. They had the audacity not to get on a bus. We won't stop buying nothing for 3 days. We can't change if we don't stop and shut this place down economically. And that's just the reality. What will we sacrifice?
Dr. Shawana, what's the legacy you want to leave behind?
My legacy that I want to leave behind is that I did it my way the whole way through, and that I was more than W76337. That I went from prison to getting a doctorate. That my mother was an addict and I'm an activist. That we don't have to be our bloodline, but I am my mother's daughter. And that we can show up, and it doesn't matter where we live, we can live in integrity. And I want my children to understand that all these hours on the streets fighting was for them. I want little Black girls in foster care to know that that's not it. That's not the end of your story. I want formerly incarcerated people to know that's not the end of your story. And so money doesn't make a movement. Where your zip code is doesn't determine your destination. And I think that at the end of my journey, I just want people to say, she came, she tried, I did. Because that's all you can ask for in a legacy. That I made my ancestors proud because I showed up to the fight every day, no matter what.
Awesome. Before we let you go, all of this has been so amazing. It's been a great discussion. Just so much food for thought, and oh wow, it's just been so much to take in, and of course it weighs heavy on my heart, especially, I'm passionate about young people, passionate about, foster care and the things that happens to them, and the justice system, it's a broken system, as we know, and I just want to see better, especially for Black people and marginalized people. So before we let you go, if you could just tell everybody once again, about your organization and how people can get in touch with you, keep up with what you're doing, any events that you have coming up, how they can support you.
And before you do, I just want to say also, thank you. I want to give you your flowers, my sister, because you are the people that we need in this world to keep doing what you're doing. So thank you for just giving your voice and just sharing your testimony and still showing up for that good fight. So go ahead, Dr. Shawana.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you can reach me at silentcryinc.org. I also have my own app at Silent Cry Community. You can find it on Apple and Android. And my next event, I am planning a 3-state mutual aid drop. One is in Detroit, Michigan. One is in New York, and the other one is in Bakersfield, California. And I'm trying to do all of this before January. And so, because mutual aid is important, I think I'm not focused on turkeys and chickens. I'm focused on how are people going to stay warm. and the things that people really need. People are out of jobs right now. In Detroit, Michigan, 33 people from GM are being laid off like currently before the holidays. And so if you feel in your heart that you want to donate to mutual aid, please go to my website at silentcryinc.org and go to donate. Or you can go to PayPal at silentcry inc at gmail, because know that if we do not do Maslow's law, then it's all going to not be okay, not be well for you, right? People are going to be hungry. People are going to need. And as a person who went to prison for robbing, I'm going to get my, like, rule of thumb. People are going to get their needs met. Now, either we can help them or we can be their victims. Now, we got to choose. Like, it's just that simple. And I'm trying to be the bridge and the solution, along with every other mutual aid org that is doing mutual aid on the ground. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to the People Power Tour, which I've had an amazing journey to help, because they are so serious about mutual aid on the ground. They're doing an amazing job with mutual aid. And I'm one drop in the bucket. But if you would like to support this effort, please go to silentcryinc.org/donate and support any way you can, because $1 makes a difference. So thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, we want to thank you for coming on the show and joining us. And you know, once you come on the show, you're a friend to the show, and you're always welcome to come back and keep us abreast of everything that you're doing, all of your updates, and you know, we always keep that door open, and you're
Thank
welcome
you.
to come back. And you know, we're always here for you. So thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Have an
Thank you,
amazing
Doctor.
day, you guys.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Have a good evening. Awesome. That was just so awesome. 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 You're muted. Yeah, that was a great conversation. I really enjoyed talking to her. I could listen to her all day long. All day long. All day long. Yes. Yeah, you're muted. See.
Still can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
There you are.
All right. So you did an amazing job. Y'all did an amazing job. My unfortunately, I don't know, my mouse went out, and so I had to hand you the controls. And so, but y'all did an amazing job with the interview, and I didn't want to interrupt Dr. Shawana, because I think the conversation that you guys are having, I love the energy, and I didn't want to disturb that. And so kudos to you guys for that. And I wish her the best in all of the things that she's doing. And she brought up something that was really interesting with Maslow's law. And a lot of people don't understand that psychological hierarchy, right? And and it's a really amazing idea, concept, a psychological theory, as they say, and a lot of it, and it's evident and it's true, it's factual, and a lot of people don't even know that they're actually going through that. And so kudos to you guys. And you know what's even crazier, what's even more dynamic, that we have our next guest on that I'm super excited. I'm super excited about. You know,
now tell me who the next guest is.
I call him Doctor. He's a Dr. Dennis. And, you know, this is the reason why I wanted him on the show, right? And so you just came back from overseas, right? And so I thought this would be a interesting conversation to have with this gentleman, because he has a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of information that he can give, and he comes from a different perspective. But before we bring him on, Dr. Edward Feinberg, I believe that's how you pronounce it. I'm sure that he'll correct me. But, you know, when we actually have people across the world, across the country, that want to come on to We Talk Weekly, which is amazing, you know, and I get excited about that, because it says that it's people that's connecting with us, right? This little, you know, podcast, this little television show out of Philadelphia, we're reaching.
It's
I
not
know,
little
but
anymore.
shouldn't say
That's
that, right?
right. Tell him,
Right.
sister.
Shouldn't say that.
It started little, but it's
It
it's
started little,
grown
yeah.
into, it has arms and legs and it's moving. So
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
thanks to
feet
Mhm.
and a heart.
Yeah, in the heart, and big in the arms. And thanks to people like you, Lauren and Sparkle, that we were able to blossom to where we are today. And so without further ado, Sparkle, why don't you let me know who do we have today? Who do we have today?
Absolutely. We have the renowned Dr. Edward Feinberg, an Arizona based dentist and author who's redefining modern dentistry with over 70 years of documented success in saving natural teeth. He challenges today's implant trends through his teaching platform, the Onward program. Y'all already know what to do. Let's give a warm We Talk Weekly welcome to Dr. Edward Feinberg.
How are you, my friend? How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you. That was a nice introduction.
Oh, fantastic, my friend. You even got I see your pearly whites. You got a perfect smile, as they say. So, do you know, I always was interested though. Do dentists, like people who perform kind of cosmetic surgery in your mouth and your teeth and make sure that you know your teeth look amazing, do you perform that type of, I guess, procedure to yourself, or do you go to professionals to get that done? Do dentists do that? Do they perform that type of surgery on themselves?
Oh, no, that would be very foolish.
Ah.
No, you have to go to another professional. I'm very lucky in that I was born with these teeth. These are my original teeth.
Wow.
I grew up in dentistry, so I had really good dental care. And my background is completely different from everybody else in my field, in my area of dentistry.
are you
My
interested in
dad
moving to Philadelphia?
Well, I have been to Philadelphia many times, but I practiced dentistry in New York for over 40 years. And now I'm practicing in Arizona a little bit and working on my book and my teaching career.
Yeah, fantastic. And I think that's why I thought that you would be an amazing guest on the show, because you have an interesting and dynamic story. So why don't you share with our guests about, you know, your practice, how your point of reference or your scope of practice in terms of dentistry?
Well, I grew up in dentistry. My father was a master and pioneer of full mouth reconstruction and crown and bridge dentistry, and he had an amazing teacher as well. So what I've done for my entire career goes back to dentistry's roots. That's what has the track record. And I'm mostly about health and longevity. So I have 100,000 pictures of cases that go back to 1950, where all the teeth were handled according to the same basic principles. And these principles are not being taught. Somewhere along the line, the teaching institutions went off in a different direction. And a lot of dentists are having difficulty with crown and bridge, specifically crowns falling out and decay under crowns. These problems were solved in the 1930s. And they're having so much difficulty that many of them would just rather pull the teeth out and put implants in. And I'm not against implants. I'm against their overuse and inappropriate use. And that's what I see. Because if you're a one-trick pony and all you can do is one thing, everybody gets that one thing, whether that's the best treatment option or not. That's what I see going on. And we started to do implants in the early 80s when they first came to this country. And there are definite basic principles that are important to follow with implants as well as with natural teeth. And these basic principles are being violated en masse as well. And I'm horrified at some of the things that I'm seeing and the invasive treatments. And I think there's going to be a lot of problems with these implants in the future, and maybe a lot of lawsuits, because they're feats of engineering, and you can't violate basic principles of engineering for looks. Otherwise, you're going to have an engineering failure. So the same principles that are involved in building a bridge across the river are exactly the same for building a bridge in the mouth. You have a foundation, and in dentistry, the foundation is the bone and the roots, or the bone and the implant fixtures. And you have to balance forces and not overload those that support. And all of the experts will tell you the same thing, and yet they're being violated left and right. I'm very upset about what's going on, because I was trained completely differently, and I can show cases in the mouth that I did in the mouth 30 and 40 years. And I don't see too many people who can show that. In fact, when you go to the lectures, you don't see any follow-up. You see how pretty it looks on the day of insertion. And to me, that doesn't mean anything if it doesn't hold up. Mm-hmm. That's meaningless.
So I have a question. So is your argument that there's a lack of proper protocol when it comes to the engineering or construction of doing proper bridges as opposed to implants? What is your position?
Well, it's in both natural teeth and implants that this is happening, but more so implants, because less and less people know how to do good crown and bridge. And as I mentioned earlier, they would rather pull the teeth out and put implants in, and that they're not a panacea. I've had the patient where they only lasted maybe 20 years and that was it. And the patient couldn't have any more implants. So I think these things should be taken into consideration before they're put in all over the place. But that's not what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a lot of implants being stretched beyond what they were designed for. And a perfect example is something they call All-on-4. And what they do is they extract all the teeth in the arch and they place 4 fixtures. And usually they can't make them that deep. And then they put back this big superstructure that screws into the implants that not only replaces the missing teeth, but the missing gum and the missing bone as well. And these fixtures, they don't look like they are designed to support such a big fixture. And a lot of them are being made in such a way that you can't even clean under them. How anyone could condone that is beyond my comprehension, because health has to come first. I break my neck to save teeth, and I'm concerned about that the patient should have teeth for a lifetime if I can work it out. And I think implants should be a last resort, except in certain circumstances. And I see them being done as a first resort. And on young people, and if they don't last that patient more than 20 years, and that's a young person, and now they can't have any more implants, and they can't even wear a denture because the ridges were flattened, that patient's life is ruined. And I don't think that's right.
Yeah.
And so I'm against a lot of it.
Okay.
I'm sorry to cut you off.
And oh, that's okay. Please ask me anything you want.
No, finish your statement.
Well, a lot of especially young people think that, oh, now I'm going to have implants. I'm never going to have any more problem with my teeth ever again. Nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, the opposite is true. Mm-hmm. That's my opinion. And it's sad that they're being talked into procedure. So my best advice to patients is that they make sure that they're doing what is really best for them. Don't be afraid to get a second opinion. What I find very interesting is that patients will accept going and getting a second medical opinion. That's very much accepted, but generally will do whatever their dentist tells them to do. Yeah. And we're no different than the physicians. And I think if you don't like what you've been told, maybe somebody else can save those teeth instead of pulling them out. We have different levels of knowledge and skills, and you can't rely on one person's knowledge and skills. And I'll give you another example of why I call the single tooth implant the signature of a piecemeal approach to dentistry. And what I mean by that is that the single tooth implant only fills a hole or a space. So if a patient has, let's say, a virginal mouth where there's no periodontal bone loss, no fillings, no crowns, that is a perfect place for a single tooth implant. But that is not what you see when you go to the lectures and you look at the articles that are written in journals. What you see is the teeth falling apart around the space that the implant is going in. And that implant is going to do nothing for the teeth around it. And that patient's problems are never solved. But when I do crown and bridge work, I compensate for all the things that are wrong, compensate for the bone loss, and I change the forces that are being acted on the teeth and make the teeth smaller. And a lot of times we tie them together so they help each other out rather than each tooth having to carry the brunt of forces all by itself. So I can correct all the problems in a whole area rather than just fill a hole or a space. That's what good bridge work can do. And a lot of dentists only look at crown and bridge as tooth coverings and not therapeutic to change the architecture so that the patient can hold on to their teeth. And I can show miracles. Oh, go ahead.
Dr. Feinberg, I'm sorry to interject. I wanted to talk about what you just mentioned because I'm one of those people who actually went to another country, which is I went to Istanbul, Turkey to get my teeth done. I sat in the dentist chair. I have a medical background, so I understand the concept of your gums having, direct connection to your heart. People don't understand that a lot of things start in the mouth orally that goes through your body, which could cause sepsis and all these other things. But the bone graft that you spoke about, I needed an implant. And when that doctor came back and told me the amount of money that I was going to have to spend, in addition to me having good health insurance, I was like, that's crazy, and then the other country, they were able to do something that was less. However, they, like you said, everyone wants to just pull your teeth, create bridges, and not want to help with the other teeth that are there. But my argument with, I guess America as a whole, just as you mentioned about keeping the natural teeth, wanting to make sure that you have your natural teeth, why is it that we don't have a system set up that is not about the money and about saving the natural teeth? Can you talk about that?
Yes, and I agree with you. I did not make this system. And what they call dental insurance is not insurance at all. It's payment assistance. And I think if we had an honest country, we would have a definition of what insurance is. To be called an insurance plan, I think it should cover at least 80%. And that is not what you see. In fact, they're very skilled at keeping the money away from the doctors and the patients. And the fact is that dental care is very expensive. It has very high overhead. If you want good work, it has to be precious material because there's a lot of crap being done that is not the same thing and is not going to hold up. One bad material that everybody's using because it's cheap and white is something called zirconia. And you can't do half the things that I've done with my career with that material. You can't solder to it. They're what you call butt joint restorations. That is what everybody is doing. And one of the reasons why they're having so much trouble in dentistry. And what I mean by that is butt joint comes from carpentry. And when you prepare teeth, you put a ledge around the tooth and then you make the crown to the ledge. That is called a butt joint restoration. That is not where dentistry came from. So my crowns and my dad's crowns and my dad's teacher's crowns are modeled on the mason jar cover, which is the best known thing ever devised for food preservation. So I don't have decay under my crowns and I don't have crowns falling out. And I can show miracles by conforming to basic principles of engineering and how very often I've had patients who have, systemic problems like diabetes, heart disease, cancer, and the dentistry holds up in spite of that. You would not expect that, but that's what good dentistry can do. And less and less people know how to do it. And that's one of the reasons why I started the teaching website, to try to train dentists to do proper crown and bridge. I believe very strongly in saving your own teeth first, and that implants should be a last resort. except in the one case that I mentioned where you have a one tooth missing and everything is perfect. That's the minority of cases.
Also, Dr. Oh, go ahead, Sizzle.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, there's a phenomenon about wisdom teeth being pulled. And now that they found more research that there are special stem cells that are in the wisdom teeth, and that America has been one of the countries that are pulling wisdom teeth, if they're impacted and coming in to, harm the patient, understandable. But if they just come through, are dentists still trying to pull those teeth when they have so much minerals and good things that they're finding out?
These teeth are only extracted if they're going to cause problems. Otherwise, some patients, the wisdom teeth come in perfectly. That's a good tooth. They should never be extracted. But most of the time, they're angled into the teeth in front of it, and they could cause the loss of those teeth and have a whole mess. So that's the reason for extracting wisdom teeth. If they're not going to cause any harm and the patient can keep the areas clean, then they don't have to be extracted. So it's really an individual basis. And one of the reasons why they think that is happening is that we're evolving, at least, that's what the theory is. And our jaws aren't big enough to hold all those teeth. So the wisdom teeth get impacted. And so they can cause problems. Sometimes they never erupt at all and never cause any problem, and you're better off leaving them alone. So every case is different. Since I'm not an oral surgeon, that is not really my area of expertise. But I am not quick to extract them unless I feel they're going to cause damage.
Have you heard about the phenomenon with them having a certain amount of minerals and stem cells in them, in the wisdom teeth, or that's something you haven't heard of?
Well, every tooth has an interior canal system with tissue in it, and the tissue has different types of cells in it. And as you get older, this area shrinks and becomes very, very little in older people compared to younger people. So I don't know, that's not my area of expertise as to how you could use the stem cells to, maybe create new teeth. I think that technology is coming in the future. And maybe that will put the whole implant field out of business. And that would be exciting. I'm always looking to do something that's an improvement or better. So I look at technology through the lens of basic principles. And there's a lot of really bad technology in my area of dentistry. Not all areas of dentistry, mine. And it can look like, oh, wow, this is like Star Wars. But crowns in an hour, what is that? It's the butt joint restoration. The end product is essentially no different than the old high-fusing porcelain crowns that were baked in an oven in the 1950s. You think we didn't know what was wrong with them? And now this is being put on the young people who have no idea where dentistry came from. That's the real problem. I really believe that if we're really going to advance, anything new that comes down the pike must be compared to the standard of what came before. Otherwise, we are not advancing. So technology that does not conform to basic principles is not good technology. Now, there is some technology that is good technology, and I can spot it in a minute because I look at things through the lens of basic principles.
Go ahead, Lauren.
So Dr. Feinberg, there's also one thing that I did catch on social media, and I believe this is starting to trend with the younger generation. I think when it comes to cosmetic dentistry, they're seeing a lot of these celebrities and influencers that are like, I guess, rich, and they see these perfect teeth and the perfect smile and all that, and they're altering their teeth to, head that teeth.
I have a lot to say about that.
Yes.
And
yes.
Well, if you notice, a lot of Hollywood celebrities have teeth that are much too big. And,
yes.
As you get older, the body can't tolerate very much. And a lot of them are going to end up with periodontal problems. When the body can no longer tolerate that, something's going to give. And that's what's going to happen. So I'm not a big fan of veneers, but they're really for young people because young people can tolerate things. The problem with veneers is that it really only bonds well to the enamel layer. And you can't take that much off that what you're putting back isn't bigger. A real pro can minimize that. So there were, all the people of all different kinds of skills. Now, in a young person, the nerves are very large and they are willing, you can almost get away with a lot of things in a young person. So I think that they can have veneers when they're young, but every single one is committed to doing crowns one day because you have irreversibly cut the tooth structure. And at a certain point, dentistry needs to be replaced, and veneers will not be the right treatment at that time. They should be told that.
Yes.
And so
they're not telling them that. They
and
are
the
not
crowns,
informing them that.
Unlike veneers, where you're stuck, with the anatomy that's there, they can minimally alter it, but not very much. With crown and bridge work, you can have complete control over the shape and size and form. You can do something good for the whole area, bring the forces up close to the bone. You could tie them together. You can make the teeth smaller to put less stress on the bone and the roots. That's what really good crown and bridge can do. And most people are trained to look at that as only tooth coverings. In fact, I go to the lectures and I see some of these. We have two big institutes, one here in Arizona and there's one in Florida for dental continuing education. And these professors are afraid to prepare the teeth for crowns. So sometimes you see things that are ridiculous. Like I went to one course and the patient was missing a front tooth. And so they stuck an implant in the space and then they prepared all the teeth around it for veneers. That patient should have had a 6-unit bridge. That has the best track record. I've done a lot of them. And the canines are the strongest teeth in the arch. They're the cornerstones of the arch. And that has an excellent track record of success. The other way, the patient's never done with all these things going on in their mouth. And then if implants are feats of engineering, you may not get the results that you want. You don't know how the tissue is going to drape around that implant. You could have an eyesore that can't be fixed so easily or at all. Whereas crown and bridge is very predictable. It's much less invasive than putting something in the bone. I'm against that, a lot of this because they're not thinking about what's going to be down the road for the patient and what's going to happen to the patient down the road. And what does it for me, and the reason why I'm a dentist, is because I want to see the work that I do last in health when that patient comes in year after year for their hygiene visits. And I see, they have x-rays every 2 years and there's no change in the x-rays over decades. You did something good for that patient. And I can show how the patient came in with periodontal bone loss, and that was the end of the bone loss completely. And I solved that patient's problem. They got to hold on to their teeth. They know you're good too, because they got friends and family that are having lots of troubles.
Fantastic. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. One last question. If there is a patient who has had dental work done and they believe that they have, either have not been treated professionally or there's some type of malpractice or something going on, how can they report that to the dental board or the ADA or something like that? How would they go about filing a complaint?
Every state does have a dental board, and each state has slightly different laws. This is not my thing. I try to help the patient, and if something didn't turn out the way I wanted, I would do everything I could to correct it. I only care about the result, that we get perfect a result as I can for the patient. And there are things that we don't know the answer to that you can't help, but where you do know the answer, that you have to follow through. And one of the things my dad always used to say, because I saw him do things over that I know nobody would do over. He was amazing, a genius. And he always said that one of the hardest things is to be your own worst critic and look at your work honestly and not pass something along. Bacteria or microns, you are not going to get away with it. Then, but people cop out very often. Oh, that's the best I can do. Or we'll have to wait and see what happens. And that's really the cop out. The patient's depending upon you to do what's right. And so you owe it to them to give them their best shot at having that work. And so that's what I try to do. And that's how I was raised in dentistry. You know, my dad, when he started, he said, I want to be the best dentist. And he had an amazing mentor, and he broke his neck and studied his whole life and had an amazing career. And I got all the pictures to show that nobody will ever match the sheer volume and quality of the work that he did in his lifetime. I don't hear too many practitioners saying, I want to be the best. I hear them saying, I would like to make a really good living and make more money. And some of them are forced into it because, you know, they have these debts that are enormous that we didn't have. It's not fair.
Yeah.
I met a recent graduate in Arizona here. She's $700,000 in debt. Do you think she can concentrate on building her knowledge and skills, which are rudimentary? What do you think she's thinking about? How I'm going to pay these loans back?
Yeah.
This is bad for the public. Bad for no one should start their career that way.
Wow.
100%.
I have one last question. Were you about to ask a question? See?
Oh, go ahead, Spark.
Sure.
Last question. and just lay it on me, Dr. Feinberg. Holistically, does cloves work for dental care as well as colloidal silver? Or have you ever heard of those being utilized for oral health?
Yes. I don't have a good answer for you. I have seen patients do well with some of the alternative treatments if, let's say, they're prone to infections in their mouth. So I think it's certainly worth a shot. You know, with the temporary cements used to have eugenol in it, which came from cloves. That's where it came from. And there are some people who are actually allergic to that. And so the profession is kind of going away from that. But the early temporary cements, and were used for most of my career, had eugenol in it. And that's how it was formulated. And so that's also like an antibacterial. And so I'm a big believer in alternative treatments because what's the worst thing that could happen? It wouldn't work. So you tried it. I think there's nothing wrong with that. I've had some patients have success with tea tree oil who are prone to infections in their gums, and that's helped them. And you see how it's helped them. If that's helped them, keep doing what you're doing because, we don't have all the answers. And I only care that the patient gets better. That's all I care about. And if an alternative treatment will help them, I'm all for it.
I like that you said that because most doctors or most people within a profession will take a position or act as if they know everything. And to hear someone say with a professional say that they don't know everything, and if this works, then let's keep it going. I think that, gives some type of or some form of legitimacy to whom you are and your ethical background and everything. So I appreciate you doing that. I do have a question real quick.
I just wrote my blog for last month. I have a blog on my website about that very subject.
Wow. I mean, see, there you go. So I'm giving you a virtual high five right now for that. I'll definitely take a read. But I do have a question because I want to get into the Onward program. Why don't you talk a little bit about that and your position and with regarding that and what that entails?
Well, I created a teaching website for dentists, but it's anyone can go to it. You don't have to be a dentist. If you're interested, you could take the courses. I have a monthly blog. I have a lot of documents in the documents library, but I don't like the fact that dentists aren't being trained the way I was trained. So I wanted to make courses for them so that any dentist who's interested can go and take those courses on the website. So I've made about 35 courses for the website. And I've also written 2 books, and I'm almost done with my 3rd book, which is my 2nd textbook. And I want to make sure that this knowledge is passed down. And it would be a terrible tragedy if all that knowledge went by the wayside, because I see what's being taught is incorrect, did not come from dentistry's roots, and it's incorrect. And that's one of the reasons why dentists are having so much difficulty, and they are so indoctrinated that most of them are not able to even look at anything from a different perspective. They've been so brainwashed and indoctrinated. That's very sad. And I don't know how you change, but I think, generations change and attitudes change. I want to make sure that the material is there for whoever's interested.
No, I think the irony with what you're saying, I heard similar sentiments when it comes to carpenters or carpentry. They're saying the way that they make houses now, they lost the engineering, or they lost the true essence of how to actually build using wood and determining what's the best wood to use, because they're moving into engineered products now, and they don't know how to restore properly if they go into an old house. And so I am hearing very similar sentiments with people who have learned the so-called trades, and it has always been with reference to the trades specifically. Yeah.
Okay, so this is exactly analogous to what's going on with the dental laboratories and the way the students are being trained. They're being trained with digital, and they don't know how to do anything. Everything has to come out of a computer, because the corporations supply the dental schools with all the latest equipment because they want the students to buy it when they graduate, and they don't know how to do anything. The laboratories don't know how to do anything. And they make the exact same mistakes digitally that they do with analog. So there's no learning there. And I end up doing a lot of my own laboratory work because I can't stand to work with these people. They claim to know everything, and it's clear they don't know what they're doing.
Amazing. That makes me, and I think you already have answered this question in terms of the legacy that you would like to leave. And I'm sure it has a lot to do with passing down the true knowledge or the essence of, true quote unquote dentistry. But if there was someone whom asked you a question, what is the legacy that you would like to leave? What would you say?
We have to turn this ship around. And this is not just my field. This is the whole country. The attitudes are all wrong. When I got out of school, my focus was health and longevity. Everything I did had that in mind. What I see the focus on now is economics and workflow, and not so much on health and longevity. That's bad. That's not being a doctor. I don't like what I see. And those attitudes didn't make our profession great, especially American dentistry great. And if we continue that way, we will not be the leaders in our field.
Yeah. Well, one thing we say, go ahead, Spark. I know you want something. Go ahead.
I was saying, wow, he's right. I agree with you, Dr. Feinberg.
And I did want to.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Sizzle.
I'm sorry. I did want to say something else. I just wanted to say for people at home, or those who are watching this, we've been talking about dental care, and we've been talking about cosmetic dentistry particularly. So we do have for our audience and our viewers, we have a lot of people who they are may be limited to a certain income status, and they may not be able to afford all of the cosmetic dentistry, or maybe struggling with or may not even have dental insurance. What are some ways that you would say they could take care of their teeth, their natural teeth at home? Because there's a lot of misconceptions about, like, you even see stuff on social media about charcoal toothpaste and all this other stuff.
Yeah, stay away from all of that stuff. That's not proven, and you could do harm with a lot of those things. I'd be very, very careful. And cosmetics, nobody should be talked into doing anything cosmetic unless it comes from the patient that they want it. Health is the major concern, and I would never tell a patient what to do, or or that they should do something for cosmetic reasons. That is not right. But I save a lot of teeth because I know how to make temporaries with copper bands. For example, let's say a patient snapped off a tooth, and people go through cycles in their lives. They're sometimes down and out, and they're not able to do it. I want those teeth there so that when they're able to do it, they can do it. And those people are being turned away. It's because I know how to make good copper band temporaries that fit like permanents. I can do that for the patient and put it in with permanent cement and hold on to those teeth until they're ready to do the dentistry. I've got just as much pleasure doing that and helping somebody as doing a really big case that the patients paid a lot of money for. We're there to help people, and that's always been my charge, is to help them, and in any way that I can. And so sometimes I don't care whether I get paid or not. I just want to help them, and then one day they'll do the dentistry. And a lot of times they turn around and not only are they able to do the dentistry, but they're going to send you all their friends because they know that you stuck your neck out and helped them.
All right, Doc. So I'm coming to Arizona to get my crown. So I mean, what is that bridge? I'm coming to get a bridge. I'm coming to Dr. Feinberg's office to get my bridge. All right. It's so but yeah, it was an absolute pleasure and having you on the show, and I really appreciate all of your insight. I do have a quick question about oral health and your idea, or what's your thoughts on, because you talked about cloves and even tea tree oil that I didn't hear about before, but what's your thoughts on baking soda? Because that's also have been kind of like one of the old kind of traditions to brush your oral health. What's your thoughts on baking soda?
Well, I don't think you could do any harm, but the toothpaste is secondary. It's the action of the toothbrush that's important. And what you're really trying to do, the most important thing that determines whether or not you're going to hold on to your teeth is the bone and the roots. And the way people get into trouble with losing their teeth is if something happens to the bone. So there are definite causes that we can prevent. The number one cause is letting tartar and plaque and calculus build up, because that can cause the gums to become inflamed, and that can spread to the underlying bone. So the single best thing that you can do is have your teeth cleaned regularly and do good hygiene at home. And whatever toothpaste you use or not is secondary. It's really the action of the toothbrush that's important.
Fantastic. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. I call him Doc. That's the Doc we have on, Edward Feinberg, DMD. How can everyone get in contact with you or find you and find out all of the fantastic, amazing information that you have for even other doctors and dentists? Why don't you give them all of that information? Yeah.
Sure. My teaching website is www.theonward, ONWARD program.com. So it's theonwardprogram.com. And if you sign up with your email address, then you could be on the mailing list and get all the blogs emailed to you. And otherwise, there are a lot of courses that are free. There are documents that you could read. Different articles. There's my monthly blog on different subjects that related to dentistry. Some are uplifting and some are scathing indictments of things I don't like. I don't want to be known as a whistleblower because I care very deeply about my profession and I'm very involved in dental associations. But I cannot look the other way after the career I've had and the training that I've had. I just can't look the other way and say nothing and be silent. So that's why I'm so outspoken, and I really appreciate the opportunity that you gave me to reach people. And if I help one person and make them think twice about what they're doing, this will all have been worth it to me. I have no agenda. I'm not selling anything. I just want to make things better.
Fantastic. Well, I'm going to say you already changed my mind. I won't be getting an implant. I will be getting a bridge. And so that's what I will be looking to do.
Well, every case is different. Okay. And you see, that's the thing. If you have all these different techniques in your armamentarium, you can pick and choose what's best for each patient. Okay, so gotcha. I'm not against implants, and I've done many of them. I'm against their overuse and inappropriate use. That's what I'm against.
Appreciate the
Absolutely.
clarity. Fantastic. Well, I like to say thank you for coming to the show. And one thing that we say to the show is once you come to the show, you're a friend to the show. So you're always welcome to come back, especially if you have something coming up. I know you said that you're finishing up your workbook or your book, your author, I believe. Is it something that you're giving to colleges, a class or something that you're producing?
I hope to. It's a textbook on how to do Crown and Bridge.
Yeah.
And my
Okay.
first textbook was on a very niche subject within restorative dentistry. And so it's on Amazon. And my book of essays is also on Amazon. Anybody can go and look it up and get those books. The book of essays, people might find interesting because it's got a lot of, it could be eye-opening, a lot of subjects. I'd like to write another one because now that I know how to do it, I wouldn't make the same mistakes that I made the first time around.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, if you're a dental assistant, if you're practicing to be a dentist, make sure you reach out. Look at some of Dr. Feinberg views and his positions and some of the tricks of the trade. I mean, true trade, things that he was able to get passed down from his father and make sure that everyone is actually remembering the true essence of dentistry. And so I just want to say we really appreciate you for coming on the show. And we'll definitely be in touch. And this, I want to say this particular show was brought to you by Podmatch. You reached out to us on Podmatch, and, we're getting a lot of people reaching out because we've been, people are listening to great people like yourself and want to jump on the show on We Talk Weekly. So again, we just want to thank you for coming to the show, and you're always welcome to come back.
Thank you, Dr. Feinberg.
Anytime you want me to have me as a guest, I would love to come back, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Oh, fantastic. Well, you have an amazing rest of your day. Yeah.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Take care, guys. All right. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We Talk Weeklies After the Talk on WPPMLP Philadelphia 106.5 FM. We Talk Weeklies After the Talk with your boy, Charles Gregory, and the beautiful
Classy Lady Sparkle.
Beautiful
Lauren Sizzle.
Yeah, so that was Dr. Feinberg. He said a lot of stuff that I wasn't, but you know what? One thing that I will say is I've been hearing the same sentiment, especially with some of these new houses that's being thrown up in Philadelphia. People are truly saying that they're just being thrown up and they're paper thin, and even the plumbing and electrical is different, or it's not put together like it should to last for years. And it's a term that's called planned adolescent, right? And pretty much, that's planning for it to, decrease in not only value, but even, the quality of what you have. So it's planned to be destroyed, so to speak. So it's not going to last a long time. And so when you have people who have been doing this for years, and their father has been doing it, and their father's father, and their father's father's father has been doing it, they're passing down tricks of the trade, or have this institutional knowledge that they can say, I know how this works. That's why you have people like, kudos to the Amish. Most of the things in the architecture and the housing and the carpentry, all of the work that they usually do, it lasts forever, and it's great quality work. Now, I'm not saying they're the only one that does great quality work, but they stand on their merits. They stand on everything, to say that we know that this is going to last for almost a lifetime. That's why they can not only charge what they charge, but they also have an unlimited supply of people, supply and demand, to get them to put together something for people. So I just go ahead. Yeah.
I think everybody can agree with you to say that everything from clothes to diamonds to your appliances, nothing is made like it was at one time. I think everything is being, made quickly, where it can be destroyed quickly. Your TVs, nothing is made to last, not even the cars. Like, Hondas was like the number one. They're even making it where they're not even built to last anymore. So it's sad, but I think it's a part of where I'll say America, because that's where I live, but that's where America is facing, that nothing is being made with quality anymore.
Yeah, and that's the argument behind fast fashion, right? It's about how the quality and the materials that's being used to, quickly develop these trends, and the clothes are breaking down, right? There's always an argument to something. And I believe that there's two sides, and one can argue that, that the technology has destroyed the quality of service. And then one can also argue that it's because of technology that they're finding ways to cure even cancer, right? And so it's an argument to be made, and you just have to remember it's a red side and a blue side, right?
Yeah.
That's why we tend to play in the middle, dance in the middle somewhere, right? And so we talk weekly after the talk. So we're going to jump right into good news, bad news. You ready for me?
I am. I'm ready.
All right, holla at me early.
All right. So a federal judge blocked the Trump administration from cutting off SNAP. So you could hear from our earlier interviews that everybody is talking about the food stamps being cut due to the government shutdown. So America is so close to Thanksgiving that hopefully families that were relying on food aid now have a lifeline. Over 42 million families are at risk of losing their access to food assistance. Food stamps were established in 1964 and has never been suspended ever until now under the Trump administration. Speaking of the Trump administration, on October 29th of this year, President Donald Trump posted on his social media platform, True Social, that he was basically aboard on the Marine flying to meet, I believe his name is Jinping in South Korea. Trump said because of other countries' testing programs, he's instructed that the Department of War is to start testing nuclear weapons on an equal basis. That process will begin immediately, he said. Russia is second and China is in a distant third, and they'll be doing it every 5 years, end of quote. Now, some would say this is okay that he's testing these nuclear weapons, but it can be a little bit harder for, it could be a little bit controversial because of the other countries, specifically Russia and China, are stepping up to their nuclear weapons testings. He wants the U.S. to do the same thing, and he's ordered the military to restart their nuclear weapons testing for the first time in over 30 years. But again, here's the catch. He didn't say what kind of testing. He's not saying whether it's actual explosions underground, like during the Cold War, or is it missile flights, testing for non-explosive. This is making it very confusing for Americans and controversial because they don't know what to expect from the Trump administration with this nuclear war of weapons that are being tested. Have you all heard of that with the weapons? Yes.
It's just been so much going on. I didn't hear about that. It's been so much going on that it's just kind of hard to keep up with stuff now. And that right there is crazy. I know he's been doing a lot of stuff like overseas and, communication wise and visiting different places. It's just
it's been a lot. It's been a lot.
And I know that's the flood the zone tactic so that people just don't know their right from left when it comes to politics and what everybody's doing. So it's just hard to keep up with, but that's just crazy.
It's been a lot. In other news, a little closer to home, Lincoln University had their homecoming here in Pennsylvania where gunfire erupted. One person was killed and 6 others were wounded. The shooting happened outside the International Cultural Center during tailgating and their alumni festivities. Sadly, another shooting happened at Howard University, which is located in Washington, D.C., where shots rang out near the 600 block of Howard Place, where 5 people were injured. 2 suspects in this case are in custody, and 3 guns were recovered. None of the victims were students at Howard University. One was a student at Morgan State, though. At both institutions, police have increased security around campus and emphasized that while the shooting happened during homecoming, they do not believe the incident was tied to any of the university organized events. Police have arrested 21-year-old Zaquias Morgan Thompson in connection with this deadly shooting at Lincoln University homecoming. He was charged with carrying a concealed firearm without a license, and investigators are saying that the ballistics evidence were linked to the shell casings found at the scene. So we've had some bad news. And I know y'all gonna say we need some good news.
Wait.
Here hopefully is some good news. Over the weekend, Philadelphia City Council President. Say it again.
I'm sorry, I was just asking, were you done with that story? But we could come back to it.
What'd you say, Sizzle?
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm cutting you.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead. Talk to me. What was it about it?
I didn't realize what was going on. Go ahead. We could come back to it.
Okay. The last story is a good news story. So over the weekend, Philadelphia City Council President Kenyatta Johnson and Mural Arts Philly unveiled a powerful new piece at Chew Playground, 1900 Ellsworth Street, right in the heart of Point Breeze. The mural is called Point Breeze Game Changers. It's a stunning tribute painted by artists Kayla Rosa and Gabe Tabarino, honoring local legends like the late Charles Chew, Miss Dot Perini, Karen Harris, Daryl Coates, and Kenyatta Bay. You'll also see faces of youth from Point Breeze Youth League and Sigma Sharks, alongside Johnson and State Rep Jordan Harris. Council President Jar into the community and the legacy that lives on. And the artist Gabe Tabarino said, every brushstroke tells the story of resilience, pride, and homegrown heroes here in Philadelphia.
I actually love that. That was great. That's amazing. Shout out to Point Breeze. Shout out to those young artists. You know, who was responsible for that? Was that the Anti-Graffiti Network? Was that
the Mural Arts Philly?
Yeah. So Mural Arts Philly, formerly, the Anti-Graffiti Network. I think they are still in existence, and they have still been doing amazing work. And if everyone across the world now knows historically how Philadelphia mural arts program has been shaping Philadelphia. And so I just like anything that has anything to do with that program, any stories that have anything to do with that program, because that saves not only a lot of lives, but people, the black and brown folks who looks like me, it kept a lot of them out of jail also because of that program, right? And so kudos to that. That was a great story. Yep.
Absolutely. Sizzle, did you have a question about that? You have a question about the Howard and Lincoln?
Yeah, I just wanted to add a little statement. You know, it was just a little devastating because it was a lot of comments that I saw on social media, especially with people of college age, and they just were very disappointed because they were just like, oh, we were out to have a good time and everything was going well. And then all of a sudden, we have this shooting, and then there's a person, that's no longer with us. And they were, even you could see from like the footage, I forget who that was. But there was, I think it might have been a person of law enforcement or either somebody that was kind of had ties to Lincoln University. He was talking and you could tell he just was devastated and how much he supported the school and he cared about the students, because nothing really goes on out there. You know what I mean? And it just was like, you just want to see these students do well. You want to see them enjoy themselves at school. And then especially when you're sending your kid off to school, the last thing you want to hear is something like this. And I know there was another comment I think I saw that they were like, that it's always somebody that doesn't go to the school that comes up there and they're causing problems for the students, and something like this happens. So it's such a tragedy. I don't know if there's something that the schools can do where they can just prevent outside people from coming in, or whatever the case is, but it's just devastating.
Agreed. And hopefully that, unfortunately, this had to happen for security possibly to have to be beefed up, but they're saying that, moving forward during these alumni festivities and so forth, that they are going to have very high end security now because of this. So, unfortunately, this had to happen for it not to happen again, sadly, so.
And I hope so, because I feel like I've heard something similar to this happening before there. And
yeah. That was your good news and your bad news from your girl, Classy Lady Sparkle.
That was the good news and bad news by Classy Lady Sparkle. I actually like that that story. That was a great story. Finally, maybe because that was finally some good news.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I'm sorry because I brought that last one back up, and it's kind of like she was ending it on a good note, and I messed her up. Sorry.
No, it's all
so
good.
sorry.
No. Expand the conversation. Expand the conversation. That's always good. And so if you're watching, make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you talk a little bit about what's going on in those stories that you liked. And if you know a story that's in your neighborhood that you feel like we should take on or cover or show up, call her, reach out, slide in her inbox, holler at her, right?
Yeah.
All right. So you already know what else is coming up next, right?
We got the sizzle.
We got the sizzle, y'all. Give it to me early.
Yes, sir. So make sure you guys, before you do anything, we want you to go and subscribe to We Talk Weekly on all social media platforms. If you want to support us, you can go to that Cash App, $ We Talk Weekly. And then you could also, if you want to make a donation via PayPal, go to wetalkweekly.com. And then next time we're going to do like a little video where it's like a demonstration, like showing you go to the website and then you go to the donate and then you click on the PayPal and then that's how you can donate. But we'll do that for another time. Mm-hmm. All right. So the HBCU Battle of the Legends with Deshaun Jackson's Delaware State versus Michael Vick's Norfolk State teams went down here in Philadelphia at the Lincoln Financial Field. Go Birds. I had to throw that in there. With Deshaun Jackson walking away with the 27-20 W. So shout out to Deshaun Jackson. And these two former Philadelphia Eagles players, they showed up and showed out with this coaching matchup. So I really, really love this. I love the energy that was going on there. And I honestly was hoping that they would pack the field because I just wanted this to be a really, really big thing. And I was there. I had some things going on, but it just looked amazing. I saw a lot of the videos and just the energy that was going on in that Lincoln Financial Field that night was awesome. Del State's James Jones, he had a 76-yard touchdown, which officially secured the victory for Deshaun Jackson. But this was just phenomenal. You had the HBC community out there heavy. I know a lot of people, a couple of my friends and, all that, a couple people that I know from HBCUs, they went out there and they were out there. They were heavy and it was awesome. It was so awesome. You had the drum line, you had the cheerleaders. It just was a whole movie. So shout out to anybody that went out there, and I'm so mad that I missed it, but kudos to Deshaun Jackson and Michael Vick just for having this here at the Lincoln Financial Field for the Philadelphia Eagles. Go Birds. Y'all know how much I love my Birds. So
I heard it was awesome too, Sizzle. I heard that it was well worth it.
Yes,
People
yes.
should have been out there.
Yeah, because I saw on social media, I was so jealous. I'm like, I should have went. I should have went.
Yeah,
But
we
like,
thought we should have been out there. I was
yes,
super mad because let me tell you something, right? Outside of, like you said, it was just like a movie. Shout out to the Divine Nine because all of the Greeks was out there. All of the
talk
black
that
Greeks
talk, talk that talk. Yes,
they was out there and they represented, and it was all black love. There was no drama. There was nothing. And I think that that's what we need to start thinking about and supporting more of. And I'm sure that they'll probably make that an annual thing. And if you think it
yes.
was people there this time, wait until next time because everyone is talking about this. And so we'll definitely be out there next time. There's no question. So shout out to the Divine Nine and my brothers from Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, right? I think Divine Nine, which is
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, go ahead, say your little call.
I know. Blue Fight, you already know. So I
Yes,
just shout out to the Divine Nine because the Divine Nine is the only historically black organization, not only, but when you talk about a full ecosystem of people who have their own, who support their own, who fund their own without like government programs, we have that, right? And if we truly got ourselves our acts together when we having issues like SNAP, we wouldn't have a problem, a too big of a problem, because we would be able to take care of our own community. We have Greeks, Black Greek letter organization in every part of the nation, almost every university you could find someone that's part of a Black Greek letter organization. And so I think we can do more if we strategize and connect and unify. I think if we start to have those questions, if we start to have those conversations, we can start to strategize. And you thought Project 2025 was an issue, we can actually create our own project. So we need to start thinking progressively. And I ain't mean to derail your story, but yeah.
No, because I think they don't. When people think about HBCUs, when they think about like the fraternity, the black fraternities and the black sororities, they don't even think about like a lot of the community work that these organizations are doing. Like they don't hear about that stuff. Only thing they think about is like the parties, the step shows, and all. No, these people are boots to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Boots to the ground.
That's right. That's right. And if you're watching this and you're from the Divine Nine, I want you to comment and talk. If you're interested in unifying, connecting, and having these conversations a little bit more as to what we can do as a community, let's have this conversation. Like and subscribe and leave a comment and let me know what organization you're from, and let's have this real conversation. I mean, this goes to the Eastern Stars and the Masons also, right? We're talking about community. We're talking about putting this whole thing together. So leave a comment, like, share, and tell everybody to tell a friend.
Exactly. All right. So after a 3-year hiatus, the Versus battle has finally returned with a vengeance. So the highly anticipated Cash Money versus No Limit Versus went down as a concert. This time they did it as a whole concert. And this was at the Las Vegas Convention Center. Some highlights included Mia X. She came out and performed. Then you had Snoop Dogg, who made a surprising cameo that was dope. So many different artists were out there on both sides, the cash money side, the No Limit side. It just was amazing. The stage was packed. You had Silk the Shocker out there, Master P, Birdman, Manny Fresh, Juvenile, BG, so many different people. And then you had so many different hits. You had High, you had Back That Thing Up, Bling Bling, and it just was phenomenal. But of course, you cannot mention that fans were highly disappointed that Lil Wayne was not at the Verses. They were so upset, and people were just like tweeting like, "Oh, this would have been better if Lil Wayne was here." And you can't mention Cash Money without Lil Wayne. You can't have a show without Lil Wayne. You can't have like the Verses without Lil Wayne. But BG sat down with the Breakfast Club And this was after the verses. And then when he was asked why Lil Wayne was absent from the verses, BG basically said Shorty wasn't feeling good. He said he had a concert at Dre's the same night, and he had canceled that as well. And BG said, I told him we ain't spring chickens no more. You got to make sure you get your rest, make sure that you take care of your body and your health and all that stuff. And he just was kind of going on, but I'm going on about that. But basically, Lil Wayne was hospitalized.
Wow.
And he wasn't able to be there. And he was the one that pretty much orchestrated this whole thing. And that's why they even put the verses on with Cash Money and No Limit, because of Lil Wayne.
Wow.
And even Swiss Beats was a little disappointed, because he was just like, I did this because Lil Wayne, Lil Wayne is the one with the muscle. Lil Wayne is the one that everybody, just respect and love, and just like, so it just was a little disappointing not to see Lil Wayne there. And for him, Lil Wayne, he could do a verses like that would be all day. Like, to include him with Cash Money is like he need to be having by himself. So overall, people thought that No Limit won, and I'm sure if Lil Wayne was there, it would have been a little different. But even BG, during the interview with the Breakfast Club, he described the magnitude of this whole thing happening despite the beef that existed between Magnolia and Cali back in the day, even resulting in some people dying on both sides. It's like, people died on the Magnolia side and the Cali side back in the day. But this, whole thing, them being able to come together and make all of this happen, was truly phenomenal. And he said that people are reaching out now about them doing a No Limit and Cash Money tour and documentary. So I can't wait to see what would come out of this, because that would just be awesome. Like, can you imagine the amount of money they would make from a tour alone, Cash Money and No Limit tour? Like, did anybody catch the verses?
I didn't even know it was. This is all new. This is the first time I don't know how I missed that. I was right on top of the verses, but when I seen the story, I thought this was kind of like an old story or something happened. But
I can see that.
Yeah, no doubt.
It showed up in my algorithm. Was Dipset there, or did they? Because I think I've seen Jim Jones. They was talking about it, but I just found out about it today. It was in my algorithm.
Yeah.
So I didn't even know SZA was going to cover this story.
Yeah, and it was a lot of people that was kind of like weighing in. It was a lot of people that were there, and I left out so many different names. It was even things that were like spinning off from the whole verses, like other little like mini conversations and mini stories. For example, Tamar Braxton was there, and she was patting Birdman on the head, drying his sweat off or something, and then people were like tying that into her sleeping with Tony Braxton exes, and is she messing around with Birdman? And then there was this.
That's his brother-in-law. Wow, like
they were
weird.
They were
That's
doing
family.
They were doing a lot with that, because because I think Birdman and Tamar Braxton went backstage and they called Tony Braxton on a FaceTime call, and Tamar was right there, and she was like, yeah, Birdman, he did that. And this was after it. Tony wasn't there, and they was like, look, and he like, yeah, she was like, look at you on the phone, you look good, she was saying that to Tony on the phone.
Yeah.
And Tony was just sitting there like, she had little glasses on, and she just and people were like, yeah, she tired of her, she always sleeping with her. I'm like, how y'all get that from like the conversation?
That's so weird.
She's sleeping with her men, but that was from the Braxton reality show.
Yeah, that's weird.
Trying to tie it into that, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. But
that's
yeah,
her brother-in-law. That becomes family. Like, you're supposed to look out for family like that.
Yes, they were trying to make that a thing, but it was a lot of people there. It was so much music. the crowd was hype. And I know, Timbaland and Swiss Beats said that they were going to make the verses a big thing. I guess bigger than it was before, because, when they performed, it was like more intimate. It was just like the people that were battling each other, and they were at a studio or wherever they were. And it was just that. But now I think they're changing it into a concert, because that's what this was. This was at the Las Vegas Convention Center. And people were like, oh, well, why didn't they do it in New Orleans? That's where, that would have been huge. And, that's where, but what about the No Limit? They could have did it in Cali. Like, that's where they were from.
Right.
So I guess the Vegas was kind of like, to keep it kind of neutral, I guess. I don't know what the decision was with that. But, millennial babies, like, they were hype. They were so hype. It was so many hits. Like, it just really took you back. Like, hot boys. And it was, let me tell you, it was, if you have time, go and watch some highlights, and that'll be all you need.
Yeah.
But I know if Lil Wayne was there, it would have been Cash Money, no rap.
You made me feel like I watched it though. That was a good commentary.
Everybody with Mia X, she was awesome. Like, she was awesome. And everybody was like, oh man, I didn't realize how good Mia X was when she performed. And they was just like, oh wow, she was dope. But then at that time, it was a different era. It was different from how, female rappers were coming out then versus like how they are now. It's just kind of like, it's just, yeah, we didn't have social media and all that stuff behind you now to help you kind of grow and all that. So it was different then. It was different then. Yeah. But make sure you guys check that out. And then final story. So if I said what I said was a person, it'd be Jay-Z. Because despite huge public outcry, he is doubling down on Bad Bunny being selected as NFL Super Bowl halftime headliner. So TMZ caught up with Jay-Z in New York, and when asked on the spot about Bad Bunny, he said, they love him. Don't let him fool you. So this is considered Jay-Z's response to weeks of criticism over Bad Bunny's music and lyrics only being in Spanish, and people not wanting to see him or think that he should be a Super Bowl halftime headliner. So Jay-Z previously stated, what Benito has done and continues to do for Puerto Rico is truly inspiring. We are honored to have him on the world's biggest stage. So even NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell clapped back at critics, and he said, I'm not sure we've ever selected an artist where we didn't have some blowback or criticism. It's pretty hard to do when you have literally hundreds of millions of people that are watching. And even President Donald Trump, who is everybody's like worst critic, he criticized NFL's decision, calling it absolutely ridiculous. But Rock Nation broke the story of Bad Bunny's headlining on October 27th, and they've been orchestrating the NFL halftime performances since 2019. So, and a lot of people have been talking about how, like, since 2019, the halftime performances have been bringing in some of the biggest numbers when it comes to viewership. So I don't know, because you got some people talking about they're going to start their own little halftime shows. They're not going to watch. I think they said the same thing when Kendrick Lamar was going to be on last year, and different. I think, and like Roger Goodell said, you can't please everybody. Somebody's going to be a critic. Somebody's going to be mad. Somebody's going to complain. This person's going to be happy. And I don't know. Somebody's going to be mad. You can't please everybody. And then you also had people saying that, like, oh, the ICE is going to do a huge raid, and that's why they're having Bad Bunny there. so that they can trap people and ICE can, take people into custody. And
Can you hear me now?
yeah.
I was running my mouth, but that's not going to happen. I mean, you're talking about, the type of black eye that what happened to the NFL. If something like that happened, it's that they wouldn't do it. They'll probably wait till tomorrow, but by then everybody going right. But they won't do it during the halftime show at the Super Bowl. It just won't happen. So just get over it. Bad Bunny will be. I like Bad Bunny, but just get over it. He's going to perform, and we keep it moving. Like everyone has an opinion, which is cool. We all have them, but just like, come on. Let's go. Come on, people.
Yeah. And I think even Bad Bunny, I think he made a joke about it or something and said, you got a couple weeks to learn some Spanish. And I don't know.
I was just going to say, do you think everyone who is listening to Bad Bunny understands what he's saying? Or is it just his cadence in the music? What do you think it really is? Because I don't know a lick of Spanish, but I like his music. Yeah. And that's what moves the people. It's the music.
Will they have closed caption on?
That's a good idea.
They usually have somebody signing too, so somebody might sign while he's performing.
Yeah.
So,
And who knows? He might. Who knows? He might sing some of the lyrics in Spanish.
Maybe
he might. I mean, in English. I'm sorry.
English. I know what you said.
Yeah. And I do know some Spanish, so I can kind of. Yeah, I can put some of the lyrics together to.
¿Cómo está?
Yeah, muy bien. I can put some of the lyrics together to, understand what is being said, and then if it's I like him. I know he puts on a good show.
He's an entertainer, a performer.
Yes. I know that his concerts have sold out. I know that these people are about making money. I know they wouldn't make mistakes by putting somebody on that's not going to bring in money. And if Jay-Z mentioned what he does in Puerto Rico, the numbers he does in Puerto Rico, and I know they know the numbers he does here, so they know what they're doing.
How about Jay-Z is one of the decision makers? Like,
he is the decision.
I mean, he's the decision maker. You know what I mean? Like, that's even like. Wow.
No,
like we've seen it from our lifetime for where, I guess like the Mercy Projects, and now he's making the decision. I said what I said, right?
Yes.
No, I like that. If I said that's right. If I said what I said was a person, that's amazing. Yeah, I think so kudos to shout out to Bad. I like Bad Bunny though. I mean, I always did.
Yeah.
I mean, so but what I will say is similar to what Lauren said, if you know the type of numbers that he's doing, and you're talking about somebody with an international appeal, not just here and there, you talk about international. So the amount of eyes that would essentially be on the Super Bowl at the very least during that time, it's going to be nuts. And so I think the NFL is okay with it, and they know that they're going to get the numbers. Not only that, it's because of him that I'm sure you'll want to see some dynamic commercials too, because that's where the money is in the commercials during the Super Bowl. And so no kudos to that.
Yeah, they know what they're doing.
Pay attention to the money. Look for where the money go, and look where the money will be during the time of the halftime show. See what commercials are during that time. And then we'll go from there.
They would allow somebody to get up there and sing watermelon if that person brought in billions of dollars for them. They don't care. It's about the money. And he happens to bring in those dollars. So
yes, he do.
You could turn in something. What is it? 10 minutes? How long is the show? The halftime show is what? 10 minutes? I forget.
Can't remember. About that.
Yeah, it's short.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Whoever doesn't want to watch, they can turn to something else.
That's it.
Yeah, but he's gonna be on there, so I'll be watching, and I will be salsa dancing. Salsa dance, so you'll be salsa dancing too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Y'all take y'all bathroom break during that time. By the time y'all done, it'll be over, so it's all good. That's it.
Yes, yes. All right, there you have it. I'm your girl Lauren Sizzle, and that was the Sizzle.
And that was the Sizzle, ladies and gentlemen. We Talk Weekly after the talk on WPPMLP Philadelphia 106.5 FM. We Talk Weeklies after the talk with your boy Charles Bergen, the beautiful
Lauren.
Go ahead, Sizzle.
I'm sorry. I just got finished talking, so I'm just like talking. Go ahead.
Classy Lady Sparkle.
And the beautiful
Lauren Sizzle.
And this is We Talk Weekly, y'all. Tune in for next time. We got our show coming up soon, our end of the year wrap up coming up soon. So y'all make sure y'all So that's going to be pretty good. And also, ladies and gentlemen, if you ever want to be on a show, you want to be a guest of We Talk Weekly, you can be a guest. All you have to do is go to our website, go to guests on the tab, and click on the podcast, and you will definitely be one of the guests that we'll have on our show. So this is We Talk Weekly, y'all. Thanks for tuning in, and we out, y'all. Peace.
Peace.